Welcome back, Blade Gang, Blade fans everywhere. This is This Old Sword with you today with a special custom knife. And this one comes from Koenscraft. That is the shop in Canada of Morgan Koens, well-known designer and custom knife maker. And I got to tell you, Morgan, in like a morning, can turn out a design and come out with a knife. Not particularly this one. But, I mean, he's making pipes, like he's making, smoker's pipes. He's making all sorts of little decorations, and he is just a craftsman beyond compare. And so kudos to Morgan. And also, very quickly, I would note that this was gifted to me. I have purchased many of his knives at pretty good sums, although he is reasonable. This was a birthday gift in the same time period as I received a birthday gift from Bob DeMarco, the knife junkie. I was going to say Terzola. No, Bob Terzola hasn't given me anything. Got to buy his. But he had gifted me the Nova 1 from Hogtooth Knives. Well, this is called the Ringed Pikal. It is from Nitro V. It has Richlite handles, and he turned out, I think, 3 or 4 of these in a batch. The thing with Morgan is you never know if he's going to turn out more or not. The other caveat, if it's a caveat, with Morgan is that you do not get sheaths. He will not make a sheath. He doesn't feel he can make a decent sheath, so I think that's honest. But that does leave the buyer with the option, I'll call it an option, to get a sheath made or make their own. So I have, and I'll show you an example in a minute, have both Kydex and leather sheaths made for knives that I have of his, larger knives. But this is the Ringed Pikal. It was kind of his maybe second or third venture into Pikal knives. You can see that it has a very gradual curve to it. It's not heavily pronounced. There was a strange thing that happened is that this knife arrived and I noted it had no edge. I contacted him, he apologized, and he said it must have slipped through. And usually when he prepares a knife for a customer, it's, he's just made it spur of the moment. But in this case, it slipped through without an edge. I was able to get a pretty darn good edge, which I'll demo for you. I'll demo for you now. Why not? Pretty good edge on my Worksharp Precision Adjust Professional. Look at that. Just like cutting butter. And that point, as you can see, is devastating, even if it is not extremely pointy. So this could fall either into the karambit realm or into a hawksbill realm. Beautiful thumb placement right there in that swale. So you could easily hold this knife this way and even do some decent EDC work with this. Cerakote finish. That's a tan, desert tan Cerakote finish. And I think we'll begin by just measuring it up and then doing some compares to a few other things that are either like it or by the same maker. Overall length is 8 3/4. See if I'm able to come out any further without showing everything else. So 8 3/4, and we're going to call it like a 3.9-inch blade with a 3.5-inch cutting edge. Got a very decent sharpening choil there. So you should be able to get a lot of sharpens out of this knife. Thing about custom knives, I'm often asked, where can I get one? Where can I get one? Where can I order one? And I think when you say custom, not everybody's getting the idea that it's custom. It's hand ground, handmade, per order usually. They aren't sitting on a shelf somewhere. So I'm fortunate to have quite a few of them. 4.5 millimeters on the blade thickness, which is 0.17 inches, and the handle is 0.58. Pretty slim handle, nicely contoured. We're going to weigh it up. There aren't as many compares you can do on a custom knife, unless you're comparing it to another model that's similar. 5.04 ounces, just over 5 ounces. So not particularly heavy. Feels great in the hand. I don't think there's any skeletonizing underneath. I'm not sure. Most likely not. It is held on by two relatively large, maybe T15 or so Torx. Can be used either way. So unless the rings on these knives are offset way out here, like on a karambit, when you put your finger in there up to the middle knuckle, which is usually what you're doing with a karambit, this one falls a little short of 90 degrees. It's closer to about 60 or 50 degrees. So ideally, and I'm not going to look the gift horse in the mouth here, ideally 90 degrees, because then we're coming in on the arc, and I've explained this before. The Pikal concept is like an animal's claw raking. Well, you know, this would work quite well, and you can hold it that way. You've got plenty of handle. So if you chose to simply use the ring as a way of extracting it from a sheath, once you get a sheath, then, you know, that would serve its purpose. It's smooth enough here, so you're not going to cut yourself on the edge, but does not really have a radiused edge on that circle there. Nicely done here with the way the handle meets the blade, and same thing here. He's chamfered that edge over so it's not sharp. Morgan likes his abrupt edges, so sometimes on his handles I have to just take a little bit of an edge off on the handle. This is already done though, and done quite nicely. So putting the ringed karambit there, I think I did say it's Nitro V. Anyway, you'll see all this stuff in the specs. Here is another ringed knife that I got earlier from Morgan. No, it was not a gift. And this is a ringed dagger. It's got about, interestingly, about the same offset on the ring. Ring's done a little differently here, where we have kind of that sharp demarcation on the ringed Pikal. I've got it upside down just so you can see the rings. And this one is bayonet ground with a fairly sharp. What he did was he had the edge coming all the way up here on the original, and he thought that probably would pose some danger for anybody that wanted to use it this way. So he put these large jimps in here, and they're just a little sharp. So, you know, before I carry something like this, and again, it requires a sheath, you know, I would probably take the corners off there just a little bit with a diamond file. Again, we've got a big sharpening choil on this one, squared off here, so you could get a finger there if you wanted to, right? Again, a little uncomfortable for the thumb there. This is a dyed stabilized maple that's been dyed purple, obviously. It's got a cool look to it. Next ringed knife that I have that falls into the Pikal category is the Anomaly by Bastinelli Knives. And this was a Marcaida and Bastinelli designed collaboration. You can see it there. Doug Marcaida and Bastinelli Knives. This one, I believe, is made by Fox. I think it's there somewhere. Yep, Fox, Italy. This one's from N690. And this was, again, meant to be kind of, they call it an anomaly, because is it a karambit or is it a Pikal, you know? It's got a karambit ring, but it has a Pikal-style blade. You can see that it's raised above the center. This is another one where you don't have to use the ring. That would work very nicely as a Pikal knife without the ring. So, you know, rings are there, but they're not always 100% necessary. And again, it depends upon the design. You can see how this has more of a cant, it's more offset. One thing I realized is that when you offset the ring way over here, then you've got to use a much wider sheet of steel, and you're wasting all the rest of that steel. So if a knife is straighter, basically the bladesmith is using, when he does his stock removal, he's removing less steel, okay? So when you get something like this, but the way they made this, which is interesting, is, you know, the steel is probably this wide and cut out here, and that enabled them to drop the ring way down. So ideally, I'd love to see these with the ring dropped way down here. That's just my suggestion. One more showing you with a sheath. This sheath is made exquisitely in Maine by a Black Bear Custom Kydex. Really a fantastic job. Let's show you the knife, of course. That is the Commando by Morgan Koens. It is an incredible large, I think close to about an 8-inch blade on this guy, with the camel pattern and everything. This is Nitro V as well. And what Morgan did on this one was hand Dremel this handle. He textured it before the handle went on the blade. He outlines them first. There's a nice red spacer I asked for. So this one was to my specs, but a design he had done before. And he doesn't always like to recreate designs. But look at the sheath, just gorgeous. And the fit, just exquisite. Nothing, no rattle. Didn't put any mounting hardware on this yet, but probably tech lock or some kind of, I don't know, I'd go in the belt on that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like a shoulder holster type of deal. Anyway, there is the ringed Pikal, a design by Morgan Koens of Koenscraft, up in the Ontario area of Canada, I believe. And hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. I'll be back with you soon. Take care.